Hello, and welcome to the Regenerative Revolution. I'm Jacki Saorsail, and I am here with David Braden. And David is in Denver, Colorado, where he is starting an urban gardening project called the Cook and the Gardener Partnership. And as you can see under him, he's got his bio there and a description of the project. Some of that description we worked on together in a previous session. And then directly under me, you can see my enterprise design canvas. Regenerative enterprise design canvas is what I have up at the moment. That's what I've been filling out with the information that I've been gathering from David. So I'm helping him develop a business model, and these are all the basic components of a business model. And in order to gather that information, I have this workbook here, Regenerative Enterprise Design Workbook, that's full of a bunch of questions that I ask him, and I take notes. And you can basically look over my shoulder at me taking notes as I'm talking to him. And we are also live streaming on Twitch, and we currently don't have anybody joining us. That's okay, but if you want to, we are open to you joining us and giving us feedback. You can talk to us in the chat room while we're talking and ask us questions and make suggestions, and we would love this to be more of a group conversation, but doesn't have to be. It can just be me and David for now, so that's what we're doing. And we are at the stage now where we have previously gone through getting basic information and then talking about his purpose and vision and getting it down to a one-sentence purpose statement to tap into unrealized human and biological potential to produce abundance for our community. Isn't that beautiful? We came up with that. And then we talked about his value proposition, which is these $100 a month packages for a homeowner to hire a gardener to come out 1 hour a week to help them with their garden to make it regenerative, which is mostly about composting and using all of their waste matter to build their soil and grow things, and could include extra add-ons like a chicken coop and a greenhouse that could be built. They could buy these little packages and build more stuff or grow more stuff, grow guilds of different plants like fruit trees and vegetables and herbs and all sorts of things. And I had left David off last time with some homework to do a 1-paragraph elevator pitch. Did you do that?
Do you want to hear my elevator pitch?
I do, if you have it.
I do.
Okay, good. I can type as fast as you can talk, so give it to me.
I am working with homeowners to convert lawns to habitat. And then I haven't decided whether to include using what others consider yard waste. I think probably you want to include that. We work with natural processes to make the landscape beautiful without the need for expensive inputs.
Okay, wait, start that sentence again. I almost got it.
Okay, which one?
The second sentence, yeah.
Okay, so we work with natural processes to make the landscape beautiful without the need for expensive inputs. That is how we will address the problems of environmental damage and climate change. Would you like to learn more about it? Can I get your email address?
Awesome.
I'm going to take some notes if you got comments.
Yeah. Okay, just finishing up. Into habitat. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's got all of the elements. It's good. I think some people might get lost on the word habitat a little bit, like a habitat for what? Because I don't want some crazy animals living in my yard that are gonna terrorize me. I'm just thinking like some homeowners. Like, could you expound a little bit more on habitat?
Well, to me, habitat means habitat for ourselves, habitat for humans. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, what we're talking about in terms of habitat exists on a continuum between barren and sterile and healthy and beautiful. And if we can move the typical suburban lawn in the direction of healthy and beautiful without a lot of expensive inputs, that's what I call improving the habitat
Uh-huh.
or building habitat. Because the typical suburban lawn is on the barren and sterile end of the continuum.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to make this conversational. I want to make this something you would actually say. So I don't want to make it sound too formal. So I'm trying to balance that. I am working with homeowners to convert lawns into, okay, if it's going to be plural, lawns into healthy habitats for us. And I want to say something like our friends, our little animal and plant friends, but I don't know how to say that. Oh.
So yeah, the problem with that is that a lot of people have already decided that of all the living things, there are good things and bad things.
Uh-huh.
We don't want any of the bad things, but
Uh-huh.
the problem is you can't have the good things unless you also have the bad things,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all one pattern of interactions. So that's why I leave it at habitat. But if there's a terminology that would convey that.
Okay. Oh, I did. Okay. Okay. Healthy habitats. Okay. To convert lawns into healthy habitats using what others consider yard waste. I like that. I just needed the plural in there to make it sound a little better. We work with natural processes to make the landscape beautiful without the need for expensive inputs. I like that. Except that we went from plural to singular again. So to make landscapes beautiful without the need for expensive inputs sounds a little better. That is how we will address the problems of environmental damage and climate change. Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. I like it.
Something you could say when they stop you in the grocery store and say, "Hey, what are you doing these days?"
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you might. Yeah, I mean, you might go ahead and pitch the actual product in there too. Like, we charge $100 a month for per month for 1 hour a week of expert. I don't know about expert of gardening help. Uh, okay. Yeah, I might just put that in. We charge $100 a month for 1 hour a week of gardening help. Uh, yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. We got that. Thank you so much. Did your homework. Like it. Okay, so the next section is market and delivery. So today we are going to talk about your market, like the market research sections. I want to have something to put in there, which you may not have done a lot of market research yet, but we can at least list the things, the aspects of the market that you are working within, and then you can just fill it out as you gather information. And then we want to talk about your marketing strategy. So if we can get through these first few questions quickly, then we can talk more about your marketing strategy, different things that you could do, and we'll also talk about your delivery, like how you deliver your products and how that kind of ties in with your marketing and your branding to make it all a cohesive whole. Yes. So the first question is about your customer segments, as we're calling them, different kinds of customers. And the question is, do they have any restraints, like where they live, and income or ability, or being affiliated with certain groups or anything like that that would put them into a demographic that you could name?
Okay, well, we would actually, we don't have any geographical limitations other than the fact that the gardener has to get to the homeowner's site. So I have one that's living in downtown Denver who just signed up a client in far east Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember Buckley Road when you lived around here.
Mm-hmm.
But he's okay with that. And then, of course, our marketing then would be to employ the homeowner to sign up their neighbors to also come along with the program. And then if a gardener could go out once a month and do 5 homes, then the trip makes sense. So that is the geographical limitation. I think we talked before about the fact that there are a percentage of homeowners that think of themselves as gardeners and like to do gardening a certain way. And those are probably not our market. So somehow we want to reach people who think gardening is something to be avoided. And then if they still want to maintain it in a traditional lawn format, then that's going to be a problem. So we need to reach that segment of the homeowners that don't want to do the landscaping themselves, that understand that we have problems with environmental degradation and climate change and loss of habitat, and those things that we're talking about.
Right. So yeah, I mean, what they care about or what they want is a little separate from demographics, although it's connected, but definitely within the traveling distance. Maybe there's another word to use there, but within an easy traveling distance from a gardener, and then they need to be a homeowner, have a yard.
A homeowner with enough discretionary income to afford $100 a month.
$100 a month. Discretionary, is that how you spell that? Yes. Income. Okay. And we also, I think at this point we are considering, and if I go back to our customer segments, we're considering the gardeners kind of a customer in this as well, because they're someone you're recruiting. It's kind of like they're joining a membership kind of organization in this. They're not really employees, and so you're kind of having to sell them on this as well. So the gardeners, what do they need to, I mean, they definitely have more like ability constraints. They need to be able to garden, right? So they need to be like able-bodied, as far as probably not in a wheelchair or something.
Correct.
I mean, you could garden in your own garden probably in a wheelchair, but getting around to doing in other people's gardens would probably be difficult. Probably not any specific age range. Now, do they need to be close enough to you to come learn from you at this point anyway?
Well, the Denver metropolitan area, I mean, that would help if they need to learn from me. And we have the leading edge demonstration experiments on deep mulch gardening. So it helps to be able to see exactly what we're talking about, or what the end result we're shooting for is.
Yeah, well, I think within the context of like what you're going to do in the next year, it would be safe to say you're going to market to people in the Denver metro area.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, and then they need to have discretionary time, right?
Yes. Although if we're talking about starting out and they could do 4 clients, that would be an extra $400 a month, and that would only take them 4 hours a week. So you've got, it doesn't need a lot of discretionary time to start.
Sure. Well, how much would you say would be a minimum to make it worthwhile?
Well, we do have gardeners that are only doing 2 clients right now. And then others that are eager to build up, to make it so that you don't have to have another kind of job, right? You're looking at as having 20 clients and part-time work, which would be $2,000 a month, less overhead.
Yeah. So I would think they would still need at least like 2 or 3 hours a week, for sure. Not like they have 1 hour one week and 2 hours the next week and 5 hours the next week and 1 hour the week after that. Like they need to have consistent time available, right?
Well, no, well, potentially, because it varies from season throughout the season what kind of work you've got available. But you can always do a 4-hour project for each client once a month, and that could be on a Saturday.
Okay, yeah. Sure. Okay, so at least 4 hours per month.
Yeah, for each client.
Okay. Okay. Minimum 4 hours a month. It's enough for one client. Okay, cool. Just thinking if there's anything else. I don't think so. Okay. Okay. So if someone were to find you by looking for you, what might they be looking for? Like if they were searching the internet trying to find something like this, what key terms, what keywords do you think they'd be searching for?
That's a hard one. I'm not exactly sure I know.
If they were to stumble upon you, what might they be typing into Google?
What alternative gardening? What do you think? Or regenerative agriculture, or regenerative lawn care. I don't think we've gotten that far in terms of a cultural meme yet.
How about landscape, regenerative landscape? Just the word landscaping.
And landscaping, of course, there's all the hardscape stuff, and then
natural landscaping.
Natural landscaping would be something good to have people be looking for.
I'm sure you have the word permaculture somewhere on your website.
Well, I have to be careful about that because I don't actually teach permaculture.
Right. But I think you discuss it, don't you? So it's probably in your blog posts and stuff. I think it would come up if somebody were searching. So yeah, I mean that's a pretty good list. And so just gardening, the word gardening. Okay. Regenerative gardening. Okay. So what I encourage you to do is to get on Google, and I could find the link for you, but there's ways you can just type in these words into Google and it will tell you how often people have searched for these terms in Denver in the last month or week or day. So you can get a really clear picture of how many people are actually in that market who are looking for something already, like what you're offering. And then that would, tell you whether it might be worthwhile to use Google ads to try to get those people's attention. So I will give you this list and you can look that up.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so the next question is about designing an experiment. I think we've talked about this a little bit. Something that you can do initially to, test how many people are really interested and going to enroll in this, just by asking them to get on an email list or sign up for you did a couple of workshops, kind of testing the waters. So yeah, what do you have going on right now? What have you already done, and what have you found out? Because I think you've already been experimenting like this.
Okay, well, we did a dual event on Meetup, which is where we have our reputation and people that know about us and members already of the Meetup group. And on the a career in gardening event, we got sold out. Essentially, more than 15 people signed up. That's 14 counting me. But only 8 showed up, but all 8 signed up for being on the mailing list, and some of them have actually been out actively finding clients. The homeowner one was exactly the opposite. We had people signed up, only 3 showed up, and 2 of those were husband and wife and didn't have enough money to hire a gardener. So that was a little disappointing. I have scheduled 2 more events exactly with the same material. And so far I have about 5 gardeners coming up this Saturday, and another 5 people signed up, some of which are the same as the gardeners, coming for the homeowners section on the 12th. So
yeah, I'm having the same issue with this live stream. I think is that the only people who have been interested or have their own projects and probably would just be interested because they want help with their own projects. But I'm hoping that I can talk them into watching the episodes from other clients because it will help them figure out how to do it for their own, because I can't do this with everyone. But yeah, that kind of tends to be the case. More people who want to get money from it, more people will be interested in making money than are interested in paying money. But you can take advantage of that because some of these people might have friends, family.
And I will mention that one of the people came because we had introduced her to a gardener and they'd had a meeting and they wanted to tour the LSI. And she said that she's been watching the YouTube videos of our sessions.
Oh,
yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Somebody watches it. It's crazy. Yeah. Can't believe it. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, you might have to think about this as like a multi-level marketing scheme. Like it kind of is, because you're recruiting the gardeners and they have to find their own clients, right?
Correct.
And you even talked about like people teaching, other people that they would have like little interns that would follow them around. So, I mean, multi-level marketing doesn't have to be a bad thing, does it?
No, not at all. It's each one teach one.
Right. I'm gonna write that down. They're like gurus who know how to do this. Like, there might be systems out there for marketing this kind of thing. Okay. Next question. Wait, hold on. Before we move from that one. Okay, you want to keep doing that. I'm wondering if there's just any kind of new iteration that you're thinking about doing on that experiment that might help you gather more and better information, like maybe how you could do it differently next time.
So we have a window right now. That first hard frost, it will not be as impressive to see what we've done here, because all the plants will be dead and they won't be able to tell the difference between what we're doing and what a typical garden looks like. So that's the middle of October here in Denver. And so I'm thinking if I set up another one, I'm going to need some response from our gardeners saying that they're going to reach out to their neighborhoods or their friends. And I did put that bug in their ear with an email today. So we have 16 people on that email list at this point. Some of whom may never actually try to get a client, and some of them are already active at it. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to approach it after our gardens are no longer as impressive as they are right now.
Yeah, I see that. I wonder if there's something you could do around recruitment where like there's a sign up bonus or something, where when somebody gets a new client, part of the money goes to whoever found the client. Like part of the first payment goes to whoever found the client, whether it's that person who's doing that client or somebody else. So like if somebody finds somebody who wants to have this done in their yard, but they live in somebody else's district, that you get like a referral fee or something. You see what I'm saying? So that you have, because not all of your friends are living in your neighborhood, right? They're like online. So if I have friends in Denver, I could be like, hey, sign up for this, and I'd get like $20. Something like that.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I put it on my notes as a signing bonus. So I will. Okay. I will talk. So we're trying to set it up as a horizontal organization. So that would be something we would discuss among all of the gardeners who are actively participating and decide how we're going to approach that.
because you might end up with some gardeners who are really good at recruiting people and others that really suck at it but are good gardeners, so the ones who are really good at recruiting people could put more energy into that and make more money.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what other people or organizations are doing similar things to this?
I don't know of any. So we have, on the one hand, business organizations, and on the other hand, charitable organizations.
Mm-hmm.
You do have like job training type things, but those are all to get a job with some existing successful organization.
I think there are some independent natural landscapers or permaculturists who are trying to do this sort of thing, and some are having some clients.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, there was a guy in Boulder that was, well, so there's the people who are trying to grow food in other people's front yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's an inspiration for what we're talking about, although we don't want to limit it to just food. And of course, we would never till their front yard up
Yeah.
because that would be not a deep mulch garden.
Is there an existing organization that's doing that you know of?
There are a couple still that are around here in Denver.
Do you know what the names of them are?
They're not coming to mind right now. I know some of the people.
Okay, if you remember them, like email it to me later because I want to put that in the box for market research. Okay. Anything else?
SMURFs, the South Metro Urban Gardeners, Urban Farmers, SMURF, yeah. And that was Eric Belzy was his name. And he's no longer in business, but that's the...
Cool. Yeah. Oh, I really want to see somebody do this well. Like this has been an idea that has come up many, many times, and I've had it myself. And we went through that in our first conversation. I'm like, I've thought all this through. I want to see it happen. Like, I think it can. I don't know why it hasn't worked yet. We'll do it. Okay. Okay. So if there are other organizations or people like these other natural landscapes and permaculturists, how do you plan to compete and or cooperate with them?
So we're offering a different service than growing food and trying to have a market garden situation. Mm-hmm. We can grow food for the homeowner, but that's not necessarily our focus. Our focus is the habitat, in which case, so we can't be just gardening fence line to fence line because we need the spaces for all the beneficial insects and all the birds and all the things that are going to allow us to garden without poisons. Mm-hmm. So ideally we would have a neighborhood and one homeowner would be really into chickens, another one would be really into a vegetable garden, and then another is a pollinator garden. One is lots of fruit trees and bushes, and another one is the medicinal herbs and the culinary herbs. So that, a bunch of small lots we treat as a single habitat. We're a long ways from that, but in a larger lot, we can do some of all of those things like we do here at LSI.
Yeah, I like that. I like the flexibility of it. And it's also more relaxed than like, oh, we're going to turn an entire front lawn into a vegetable garden. That's a lot of work, and it's intense. And
marketing gardening is hard.
It would take more than 1 hour a week, and it would probably take daily, especially, things like people don't realize when they plant all these tomatoes that when they start to fruit, you got to pick them like every day. It's constant, it's a lot of work. So just harvesting the food can be a full-time job, if you're trying to fill a, farmer's market booth or something. But having this flexibility where if somebody does have more time and they are going to sell the food or something, they could do more food, or if they want to do more butterfly gardens,
sure.
if the homeowners want that. And I don't know, the gardening that I'm currently doing at the Earth, like I'm not doing it for the food. It's just like what you're saying. Like right now, there's kale plants that have been there since the beginning of the spring, and they're getting eaten by beetles. But I don't want to pull them out because I think if I pull out those kale plants, all those beetles are going to migrate over the squash and eat the
Sure.
squash. So I'm just letting them eat the kale. I don't care. It's okay.
And you want to attract whatever it is that eats beetles.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just let it go. I'm still feeding everything, feeding the plants, and they haven't eaten all of the leaves, so I mean, I think that the plants are still strong enough. They're surviving. So it feels like it's still healthy. They're just old plants. I'm keeping it healthy. I'm not trying to maximize the production of food. It's a different approach. Okay. Anyway. Okay, if you could collect then some more information on these other people who are doing stuff, like how many clients they have, how much they're charging, what their income is like, how successful they are, just like 4 or 5 other, either natural landscapers or gardeners who are doing, for hire, something like that. That would be good market research just to see who else is doing it and, have that little bit of inspiration. Oh, if they can get, 10 clients doing that, then I can get my clients doing this. Or oh, they're having a really hard time charging that amount. Oh, I bet I can do it better if I'm charging less. It's nice to have a comparison. So I encourage you to do just a bit of research on that and let me know. Cool. Okay. So now we're to marketing strategy. So,
okay.
What can you do to get people interested? And like you said, you've got this deadline of when the falls and the winter's going to come, and your garden's not going to look pretty. So, what are all the things you can do to get people to come out before then?
So I'm active on a couple of different Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And the one is for the gardeners is the Denver Permaculture Discussion Group is what it's called.
Yeah, I'm in there too.
And then which is where you found me. And then for the homeowners, I'm doing the Wheat Ridge Gardeners just because it's a really active group. And,
the what gardeners?
Wheat Ridge, which is a suburb of Denver.
Oh.
Between Golden and downtown Denver.
Wheat Ridge or Wheat Ridge?
Wheat, as in the grain.
Okay. I thought that might have been what you said. Wheat Ridge Gardeners. Okay.
And the Applewood neighborhood, I've been trying to re-engage there. It's the activity in the neighborhood where I live is mostly about I need somebody to help fix my fence, or I lost my dog, or
was that on next door?
I haven't done next door yet.
Okay, so that's something you could do.
I'm on it, but that's another Facebook group.
Okay, so you've got a Facebook group. Okay, are you doing anything else?
So that's my local social networking.
You're on Meetup. Meetup's a social network.
And Meetup is, I run the Greater Denver Urban Homesteaders Meetup group. And that one we have grown into nearly 4,000 members by encouraging all sorts of other organizations to post their events there. And of course, it's been pretty slow since March.
Yeah.
They're starting to see some webinar type stuff coming up, but I think we're the only one posting get outside and see the garden type events.
Okay, so those are things you're already doing. And then things you could do include, you could get on the Nextdoor app.
Well, and I can have all my gardeners get onto the Nextdoor app in their neighborhood. Or if there is an active Facebook group about that neighborhood.
Yep. And what about flyering?
I thought about that for our Be Safe Neighborhood program. We had this wonderful door hanger thing. that was a series of bees talking to each other about, have you heard of the Vanishing Bees? And so something about, are you interested in using your landscape to help address these problems, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be entirely worthwhile for a gardener who decides they're going to go ahead and knock on doors in a particular neighborhood, and they can just leave the door hanger with their phone number on it for anybody who doesn't happen to be home when they're knocking on doors.
Mm-hmm. Would you just want the gardeners just make that on their own, or would you make something that they could like write their info in on?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the idea, is that we as a group would come up with language and get it printed up and things like that.
Okay. Living Systems Institute makes and gives to gardeners to hang up. Yeah, and they would just have to do the work of actually putting them on people's doorknobs. Awesome. That would be great. I'm trying to think of what else you could do. Obviously there's lots of other, well, you could make some videos. I mean, if you can't get people to come out to your garden physically, maybe you could, do it yourself, or have somebody come out with just their phone and just like, record a little video of your garden. And you could just post that, to get people interested throughout the winter.
Yeah, and I would love to be able to do that. I don't have those skills myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I bet one of your gardeners does. It's not.
Yeah, well, and one of them was, I haven't heard back from him. He was going to be 2 weeks up at the Central Rocky Mountain Permaculture Institute. And I think that's over with. So I should reach out to Tom again.
Okay.
And he has the equipment, editing equipment. And we were talking to him about maybe doing the fundraiser video. So that would be, I mean, essentially the same thing, right? 3-minute spot on why you want to be interested in what we're doing.
Yeah, totally. Or you could use some of the same footage and just change up the words around it to make one for fundraising and one for recruiting gardeners and one for recruiting homeowners.
Sure.
But seriously, just like a simple video at least of showing off your garden that you could just just email to people, if they're interested, just like here is an example of what I've done in my garden. And it could just be you talking about, this is my such and such plant, and look at my deep litter system. And, like, it doesn't necessarily need to be edited into like a piece of marketing.
Sure.
So yeah, I encourage you to do something before.
I've been looking for somebody to help me with videos for a long time.
Just don't let it get too complicated at first. I suffer from that all the time. I try to make everything perfect, and then I never get it done. It's not good. Okay, those are all good things. Those are good things. Playing around with how you post in those groups, like posting video, posting pictures, that sort of thing would be good. And then, part of this question is just how will you reach them? What will you present them with, and how will you differentiate yourself? So just kind of trying to get at like, what is your strategy in like getting people's attention and making them interested in it? Like, what kind of languaging are you using? Do you have any ideas on that? Maybe things you could say that would spark interest?
Well, I've tried a lot of different ways of raising interest in, no longer tilling the soil, working with nature's processes, creating a habitat for a whole soil ecosystem. And of course, that's also included in our tour. So I say it, sometimes several times a week, that you see, I'll tell you one of the stories is, if you know anything about traditional gardening, there's two rules. One, you can't use wood in your garden because it'll tie up all your nitrogen, and you can't use fresh manure because it'll burn your plants. This bed is built with raw wood and fresh manure. And the reason is that when you till the soil, you destroy the habitat for those organisms that can deal with those materials.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The garden I've been using, wood chips, mostly in the pathways, but there's a lot of wood. But there's so much compost and so much fungus in the soil. It just,
It sucks it right in.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to keep reapplying the wood chips because they keep disappearing. Yeah.
That's a healthy soil.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Okay, cool. I'm thinking memes. I'm thinking if you could come up with short, like an image and then just a few words that is kind of, really nailing that point that you're trying to make about the soil health being important. It's like think to post in those Facebook groups, and then it would just have like your link, your name of your project on it. Because like I don't think people get it. I think you can tell them that all day long, and like you need something almost catchy. You see what I'm saying? Like you need a catchy way to say it that's gonna like stick with people or something, and memes might be a way to do it. So I'll think about it too. If I come up with something, an idea, like, oh, here's something you could say.
And it's self-evident to me if you're having to import nutrients every year, then you're depleting your soils, right? If we can change that around so that the soil is building of its own accord year after year, then we're working with nature instead of against her. Those are the changing from a system that is depleting the resources to a system that's building resources.
Yeah, if you have to add nutrients every year, you're depleting your soil. Something like that. Yeah, just like a one sentence, something that you could put. I mean, like those door knockers you were talking about, you don't want paragraphs of information. You want like something short and punchy on there, right? So stuff like that you could put on the door knockers or flyers or Facebook memes to share. You could have a whole bunch of those. Cool. A whole series of them that would get people interested. I can see that happening. Okay, and then we're to our last question already. Look how fast.
Already?
It's amazing. Okay, so this is about delivery. So how will you deliver information, content, experiences, service, and products to your customers? And I want you to tell me in the form of a story. So I want you to make up a customer in your head, not a real person. Just imagine, and maybe we could do this for both a gardener and a homeowner. So maybe starting with, let's start with the homeowner. Tell me about this person. Tell me about how they found you, how they got involved, what their experience was like. Just tell me a story and I'll write it down.
Okay. So Jane, the homeowner, lives in a typical suburb of Denver, Colorado. And she has been frustrated with trying to do anything with her yard because she doesn't want to use poisons. She thinks that she should be able to do a lot more than just have bluegrass that's taking up a lot of water, but she doesn't know where to start. So a friend of hers said she could learn something about permaculture. And so she got onto the Facebook and searched for permaculture groups and happened to see one of my posts about deep mulch gardening and our Cook in the Gardener program. And so we regularly suggest people should come out and see our gardens and a different way of looking at them. And so Jane came out to one of our events and was very impressed with the fact that we can do what we do without tilling or composting or treating any plant as a weed or any insect as a pest. And was wondering how she could get involved in doing that on her property. And we mentioned that we are, training a bunch of gardeners to be able to do this work for a reasonable price. And that's how we got Jane involved.
Huh? She signed up.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. After she signed up, what happened? Walk me through the entire, like all the way to the end. What happened?
All right. I asked Jane to tell me what were the cross streets. And then I emailed my 16 gardeners that were signed up at the time and said, would anybody like to talk to Jane and see if there's a match? And Joe Gardner said that he would do that. And we did a joint email between Jane and Joe, and they met on site. And Joe was excited. He thought he could help Jane because she did have some overgrown plants and areas, things that we could have some materials to work with. She was willing to contact Chip Drop, and everybody knows where you can find a bunch of cardboard, and those are the materials we need. There was a neighbor down the street with a chicken coop that needed to be cleaned out. So the materials were there, and Joe arranged with Jane to become her gardener. And Jane agreed to set up an automatic recurring payment of $100 a month. And Living Systems Institute accounts for that and sends Joe $95 every time Jane makes a payment every month. Then it's between Jane and Joe to make sure that the 4 hours of work gets done in a way that Jane finds value in continuing, otherwise she'll stop sending her payment. And then we're available also to help Joe. If he's got any questions, he can call me. He has already been toured the gardens. He has a basic idea of what we're shooting for and the techniques that we use to achieve those results.
Mm-hmm. 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 Hmm. I also imagine that Jane might tell her friends.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got another email list that has 5 homeowners on it. And I suggested to them that their gardener wants to have more clients in their neighborhood and that we have openings for the upcoming event on the 12th for the homeowners to come and tour the gardens.
Awesome. Cool. I got all of that. There's a few typos that I'll fix later. But yes. Just think if I want any more information on that. Like, it's between the two of them. Is there anything that you would do to ensure, quality of service or anything like that? Just wondering.
So we've got it set up that the $100 a month is a charitable contribution to LSI. And the homeowner gets a letter that says, this is an experimental prototyping of the type of service that we want to create a partnership that'll be a real business standalone. But in the meantime, these gardeners need the experience of working in their yard, and they need their financial support in order to be able to do this experiment. And then down to the bottom of the letter, I say, and your feedback is important. And if you've got any problems or suggestions or compliments, please contact me, and then we can resolve those issues. And I'm thinking the biggest issue was be a gardener that had some sort of problem and wasn't communicating well with the homeowner, and then we'd want to try and find a different gardener to fill that role.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes, it's a nonprofit donation. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Yes. Okay. That's a very important piece there, the communication and how you're communicating. I love it. I love that you're really making it clear that this is an experiment, that it is about learning, that this is a learning gardener, and that your feedback is important. And it's kind of putting it on them, saying, you know, if you have any input, give it to us. It's not up to us to read your mind and do everything perfectly.
Right.
And I think
We
that
don't need
that's important because some people do expect that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's the the next step where a lot of homeowners would like to see this process go a lot faster, and they would want a bigger project and so that's an agreement strictly between the homeowner and the gardener.
Sure.
And LSI is not involved. They're not entitled to a charitable deduction for that part of it. So they, of course, they would only do that if they were comfortable with the gardener and what kind of services they were providing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part. Okay, any further services are between you and the gardener and not a charitable contribution. Okay, yes. 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 Good. Okay. Yes, those are the details I wanted. Okay. Okay. So now tell me the story of a gardener, how they find you, how they get involved, and what it's like for them.
Okay, so Joe was working at a restaurant, and the restaurant closed because of COVID-19.
uh-huh.
And so he's been, trying to do the Amazon delivery and the what do they call it? Uh,
Instacart.
Instacart, that's the one. But it's not very satisfactory, and he's not quite making ends meet, and he's looking for something meaningful to do with his life. And we ran across Joe because he is interested in permaculture, and there are a lot of, he actually has a PDC, and would love a career in gardening. And that's the way we listed our event in the meetup group, was a career in gardening. And so he attended that meetup group, and we had a long conversation about the relationship with the clients, the relationship with LSI, what we're trying to accomplish in terms of building habitats, converting lawns into habitats. And so Joe signed up for our email list, and when Jane said that she was interested in a garden, we presented it to all the gardeners, and Joe was the one that stepped up and was ready to go.
Okay. Okay. Ready to go. Okay. Okay. So then he like starts. So then he met with Jane, and works with Jane to make a plan, right? So let's keep going from there, and how he gets paid, how he grows it, what he gets out of it.
Okay, so Jane is happy with Joe's work, and so the $100 a month keeps coming in. So he is assured of at least that $95 a month. He now reaches out to his family, friends, and acquaintances. And we have our first gardener developed a whole set of emails about, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you want to know more, I'll send you more information. And she had 5 clients sign up through just that process. And then what we'd like to do is then take that next step. So if Joe then has 5 clients, Jane and friends and neighbors, friends and family, now he's looking at $500 a month, less whatever that is, less $25, so $475 a month. And that allows him, it doesn't take him all that much time. He's still doing the Instacart, but now he has enough money to make ends meet. And he decides to go out and knock on doors in Jane's neighborhood, since that would be ideal for him, is to have a bunch of neighbors right there near Jane, and is able to drum up additional business, hopefully. And it's maybe next summer, maybe next August, when he can say, you should go and talk to Jane and see her garden, what we've been able to do for her.
All right. Awesome. So like, and then eventually, and you talked about people like having a certain number of clients and then working the rest of the time on other like gardening. So what would it look like eventually if he was going to do this full time?
So we propose that a gardener would be shooting for 20 clients, which is $2,000 a month. And at 4 hours a month, that's 20 hours a week. That's part-time work. And that leaves another 20 hours a week where we could do other things, such as building chicken coops and greenhouses. And if each of those homeowners is producing something in the way of food, is the one example, then if the homeowner and Joe, if Jane and Joe can share the food that they're producing, then it doesn't take very long before Joe's food bill goes down substantially.
Okay. That other location that he's spending that other 20 hours a week at, what does that look like? Just hypothetically, it might look like different things. Just make up a situation.
Well, okay. So Joe isn't in the business of building greenhouses by himself. We have the cooks and gardeners have somebody who is expert at building greenhouses and knows all the details, but of course they don't want to build them all by themselves either. So when Joe finds a client that wants a greenhouse, then the greenhouse building part of the partnership goes out, surveys the site, and provides the homeowner with a bid on what it's going to cost to do that greenhouse. And when the homeowner signs off, a group of gardeners go out and build the greenhouse and share in the revenue. And Joe gets to participate in, be part of the labor in that crew, even if he has no experience in building greenhouses, because it's his client. And he has to be there to make sure that the client is happy, that the greenhouse building people didn't misunderstand something. Those are the types of things why we want Joe to be involved in that project.
Okay, that's a cool thing. Is there anything else that Joe might be involved in?
Well, so so if every homeowner then has, well, if some of the homeowners, of course, it's going to be everybody, but if some of the homeowners have greenhouses and chicken coops and gardens, then we have a situation where the gardeners have a continuous supply of protein and fresh vegetables. And then we can, a group of gardeners can make an agreement with a group of cooks to make use of those products, either for our own consumption as gardeners and cooks, or as for the cooks to prepare meals for sale to the public. And of course, we've got a lot of details to work out before we figure out how that's going to work exactly. But,
Uh-huh. Access. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is something to figure out when you get to that bridge. Okay. Cool. Okay. Awesome. And we're at 7. Yay. That took exactly an hour. And we finished
All right.
the whole thing. And that was actually very smooth and fun and not weird. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a great session. And so, if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope that you'll join us next time. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can join us on Twitch. There's links below. I also have a Patreon. You can support me. And you can also check out David at livingsystemsinst.org and check out what he's doing and get involved in it. So I think this is a really good episode to like share. I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this in Denver. See if we can get anybody interested. So
Okay.
if you're in Denver right now, you should contact David and get involved right now. Do it. It's ready. It's ready. He's ready to go. He can do this, right? You can do it right now. Nothing's stopping you. So, all right. Thank you, David. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Jacki. It's been great.
All right. See you next time.